Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. And tonight's Raw was from the Chesapeake Energy Arena in Oklahoma City. And this was the first Monday Night Raw of the new year of 2020. And I gotta say, tonight's Raw, for the first Raw of 2020, I thought the show was okay. Was pretty decent for the first 2 hours. And then by the time the third hour hit, it just became Jobber City, in my opinion. But we also had a return tonight, which I will get to explaining later on. But like I said, overall, Monday Night Raw tonight was okay. So let's get on with the Monday Night Raw review. So Monday Night Raw opened up tonight. It opened up with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. They both came out. Paul Heyman ended up getting on the mic, and he ends up saying, "Happy New Year to you too, bitches." And then he goes on to say, "Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman," his whole shtick, Paul Heyman ends up talking about a new challenger for Brock Lesnar. And he says there's not a single person on Raw or SmackDown or NXT that can stand next to Brock Lesnar. So Paul Heyman was, talking trash to the fans because the fans were booing. And so Paul Heyman says, "Oh, you don't boo Brock Lesnar." So Heyman went on to say that Brock Lesnar is about to do something unprecedented and legitimately first time ever. And so Paul Heyman ends up mentioning Brock Lesnar in a possible dream match at the Royal Rumble. And he says any challenger who wants him can have him. Okay, so what we're thinking is, is the WWE Championship going to be on the line? Is Brock Lesnar going to face, someone that he never faced before? So it'll be a dream match. Does WWE do that? No, they don't. Because guess what? Paul Heyman announced that Brock Lesnar will be in the Royal Rumble match. He will be the first one to enter the Royal Rumble. So what a waste. What a waste of a number one spot. It could have gone to anybody else. And I'm like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. He is the WWE champion. Brock Lesnar is the champion. So what is he going to do when he wins the Rumble? He might possibly win the Rumble. He's not going to be the first one out of the Rumble, of course. So what does this mean? What does this mean if Brock wins the Rumble? What's he going to do? He's going to fight himself? He's going to fight himself at WrestleMania? He's going to clone himself? Does not make any fucking sense. This is so lazy by WWE Creative. It's like they don't want to create new stars. So, is creating new stars, that difficult for them? That now they have to put their champion in the Rumble? Doesn't make any sense. Unbelievable. So Paul Heyman went on about how Brock Lesnar will conquer the Rumble after entering first. And he ended up saying, that's not just a prediction. It's a spoiler. So Paul Heyman, drops the mic. Him and Brock Lesnar exit out of the ring. And that was the whole segment. But, like I say, why is Lesnar entering himself in the Rumble? WWE couldn't find anybody for Lesnar to challenge him for the WWE Championship? They cannot create new stars. I don't know why. Like I said, this doesn't make any fucking sense. So that was the segment. Like, who cares Brock Lesnar is number one in the Rumble? Who cares? What Brock Lesnar really needs to look forward to is having the WWE Championship on the line, and who will be his opponent at WrestleMania. And I hope not at WrestleMania. It will be, if Brock Lesnar chooses his opponent, if Brock Lesnar decides to choose his opponent, there's two opponents I could see that Lesnar will choose. And I hope to God it's not any of these two. One of them, Lesnar could challenge Cain Velasquez. And I'm like, Brock Lesnar beat Cain Velasquez at Crown Jewel. Do we really want to see Brock Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez again? No, we don't want to see that. Because the crowd is, if that ends up taking place, which to God I hope not, the crowd is going to hijack that whole match. Mark my words, if WWE decides to do that with Brock Lesnar and Cain Velasquez. Or the second opponent, which they'll probably do it anyway, even though I don't want to see it. Brock Lesnar's next opponent who I see is going to be Roman Reigns. And I hope to God I don't see either of them. I don't want to see Cain Velasquez. I don't want to see Roman Reigns. I don't want to see that. So, but moving on, Sarah Schreiber, she was backstage with Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio was speaking in Spanish. Then Sarah Schreiber ends up talking to him about how important his match against Andrade is tonight, which the United States Championship was on the line. It was a rematch from the WWE live house show that they did at Madison Square Garden. So Race ended up saying that he thanks his son Dominic for convincing him to stay and compete with the best, like Andrade tonight. So Rey ended up saying a few words for Andrade, and he ended up heading out to the ring. So we had that. And then we had the match. First match. Andrade Cien Almas versus Rey Mysterio for the United States Championship. Rematch from the WWE live house show that took place at MSG. And I gotta say, the match was a decent match. It was a good, decent match. Back and forth between Andrade and Rey Mysterio. They delivered matches last year that were really enjoyable. I really enjoyed when these two guys were, in the ring having match after match after match. Last year, it was just really decently good matches that both these guys put on. And you had at one point where, one point in the match, Rey Mysterio ended up catching Andrade, ends up dropping Andrade on his head, and Rey went for the pin. And then we see Zelina Vega end up putting Andrade's foot on the bottom rope while the referee ended up counting to 3. So Rey Mysterio thought that he won back the United States Championship. But then the referee ended up calling for the timekeeper to restart the match because the ref saw Andrade's foot on the rope. So I'm like, once again, Zelina Vega ended up helping Andrade, which, tired of it. Sorry about that, but I was saying, I'm tired of seeing Zelina Vega help Andrade. I'm like, this guy can win a match on his own. And WWE is going back to having Zelina Vega, help Andrade. I mean, let the guy win on his own. So Rey Mysterio wasn't too happy about that. He ended up arguing with the referees. The fans were booing. Andrade ended up heading out to the floor. So the match ended up restarting. So another point in the match where we saw Rey Mysterio. He was on the ring apron. He leapt off the ring apron onto Andrade. Andrade ended up catching him. But Rey ended up taking out Zelina Vega. It looked like that was done on purpose by Andrade. So Rey was looking at was upset, at the accident. And, Rey was checking on Zelina Vega. Andrade ends up coming from behind, launches Mysterio into the steps. And we had Andrade end up bringing Mysterio back into the ring. Went for the hammerlock DDT. Referee ended up stopping Andrade from hitting the hammerlock DDT because Rey Mysterio was out on his feet. And Andrade ended up exiting the ring. And Rey goes out to the floor, tries to check on Zelina Vega again. 2 other referees end up coming out to check on Zelina Vega. And then, Andrade ended up taking control of the match. And Andrade ended up hitting the hammerlock DDT on Rey Mysterio. There you go. Andrade, Cien, Almas end up winning the match, retaining the United States Championship. And post-match, we saw Andrade end up ripping off Rey Mysterio's mask. And him and Zelina Vega walked up the ramp to the back. So, also forgot to mention there was one point, one spot in the match where Mysterio ended up slingshotting Andrade, and Andrade went face first into the steps. Thought that was that looked pretty cool. But all in all, it was a fun, decent match. Whenever Andrade and Mysterio are in the ring and they had a match, what we saw, last year when they put on those decently fun, entertaining, good matches, you can't go wrong with Andrade and Mysterio. Then we saw Charlie Caruso. She was backstage with Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens. She ended up bringing up what Seth Rollins said about Joe and Owens not playing well with others. And Kevin Owens ended up interrupting Charlie Caruso. She ends up saying that Seth Rollins was right. But the enemy of his enemy is his friend. And that the circumstances have brought them together. So, he ends up saying that Samoa Joe needs him to watch his back, just as much as he needs the same from Joe. And Joe says he has a teaser for their enemies to ponder. It will be Seth Rollins and AOP versus the three of us. So there was a mystery opponent. That would be with Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe. Kevin Owens ended up asking Samoa Joe who the other opponent is, who the other partner is. Joe ends up saying they will take care of business, but Seth Rollins and AOP should be worried. So Samoa Joe walks off, and Kevin Owens is wondering who this third man could be. So pretty much basically that was that. So we had a 6-man tag later on tonight, which was the main event. Then we had the Viking Raiders versus the Street Profits, and we also had the OC. This was a triple threat tag team match. Sorry about that again, but I was saying it was a triple threat tag team match, the Viking Raiders versus the Street Profits and the OC. This is for the Raw Tag Team Championship. And before the match got underway, we saw the Street Profits come out. They were hyping up the crowd, and they head into the ring. They end up getting on the mic, and Montez Ford end up saying they are changing the conversation. Angelo Dawkins ended up saying that they aren't ringing in the first Raw of the decade. They're going to bling it in. So they take shots at the OC and the Viking Raiders, and they end up saying that they want the smoke. So we had a little thing with the Street Profits on the mic. And so the OC came out, and then the Viking Raiders. Then the match got underway, which the match itself, it was a decent match. Was a little fun triple threat tag team match. And it was back and forth between the teams. Street Profits, here were decent. The Street Profits are always fun, even though, WWE sometimes makes them as walking billboards for Monday Night Raw. But, the outcome of the match, you all knew who were going to win. So, the Viking Raiders end up winning. They retained the Raw Tag Team Championship. We had Ivar end up going up to the top, ended up hitting a flying splash onto Anderson from the top. So there you go. The Viking Raiders win. They still retain the Raw Tag Team Championship. But overall, decent match, fun match. So then after that, we had Charlie Caruso. She ends up stopping Samoa Joe backstage, and she asks Samoa Joe about this mystery man, this third mystery man. And Joe gets interrupted by Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens ends up saying that he's done some bad things to people in the company, and he just wants to know who their partner is going to be. So Joe ended up asking Kevin Owens if it will make him feel better if Joe ends up showing him their partner. Kevin Owens ends up agreeing. They both walk off. Charlie Caruso ends up following them, and Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Raw came back from the commercial, Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens walk in, Charlie Caruso was still backstage with them. She was following Joe and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens ends up taking a look inside, and Joe ends up distracting Charlie Caruso. Kevin Owens comes back out, and he's laughing. He ends up saying that they are good, but Seth Rollins and AOP are not. Then Joe knocks on the door, tells this mystery man to lock it back up, to lock the door back up. So Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe end up walking off. Charlie Caruso was there, just was like, oh, feeling frustrated, and she was thinking, oh, who is this mystery guy? Who is it? That was that. Then Becky Lynch came out. Becky Lynch came to the ring. Fans were behind her. They were giving her a big pop. Becky ends up saying that it's so good to hear their voices, because she's been wandering around, wondering what kind of champion she is. She ended up saying that she let the doubters get to her and force the powers that give her the match against, Asuka at the Royal Rumble. So Becky ended up saying that she's kind of doubting her wisdom on that one. She ended up saying that she's been living all over the road and finally got some to think about what it means to be the man during the holidays. She ends up playing a video package of highlights from Asuka's win over Becky at the Royal Rumble from last year. So Becky is interrupted by Asuka after the video package was over. Asuka only came out. Kairi Sane was nowhere to be seen. So Asuka ends up taunting Becky, speaking in Japanese. Becky Lynch ended up looking annoyed. Asuka ended up coming to the ring. She ended up speaking, but Becky ended up dropping Asuka with a right hand, and Becky ended up exiting the ring. She ended up heading up the ramp, and we just saw Asuka ends up throwing a fit in the ring, and pretty much basically that was what happened. So we're gonna get at the Rumble. We're gonna have Becky Lynch versus Asuka at the Royal Rumble. So there you go. And the Royal Women's Championship is going to be on the line at the Royal Rumble. So then we saw Mojo Rawley. Mojo Rawley walks up on Erick Rowan backstage. Erick Rowan has his mystery pet cage. And Mojo ends up asking Erick Rowan if he can please, take a look at what's inside the cage, the mystery pet cage. Rowan ends up telling Mojo to help himself. And he ends up saying to Mojo, don't tell anybody. So Mojo takes a look in, and he's horrified after what he saw. And it was funny, though. He's knocked back, in shock. And he leaves, and he asks Rowan, what the hell is wrong with him? And Rowan ended up kept on walking, but it was funny. It was funny, Mojo's reaction to what he saw inside. And the cage, the mystery cage, ends up playing a role in the match that Erick Rowan had tonight with, of course, another local jobber. So I'll get to explain that. But it was funny how the way Mojo freaked out at what he saw in that cage. So then after that, we saw Sarah Schreiber. She was backstage with Andrade, Cien, Almas, and Zelina Vega. Sarah was asking if Andrade crossed the line by taking Mysterio's mask off. Andrade ended up speaking in Spanish, and Rey Mysterio ended up attacking him out of nowhere, ended up attacking Andrade. Zelina Vega's there screaming. Rey ends up still destroying Andrade. And, Rey gets back his mask from Andrade, ends up putting it on. Rey ends up grabbing the title, ends up grabbing the United States Championship. And officials end up running to get Rey Mysterio off of Andrade. So that was what happened backstage. Then we went to Erick Rowan versus this local jobber. And what else could I say? It was a squash match. Erick Rowan ended up delivering the Iron Claw to this local jobber. So Erick Rowan wins. Post-match, Erick Rowan ends up taking this local jobber guy. He ends up asking the guy, "Do you want to have a look inside the cage?" And he ends up taking this guy, putting this guy's face to look inside the cage. We hear this guy screaming from what he saw in the cage. And when his face is shown again, his face is covered in blood. And the guy is screaming all the way up the ramp. So, playing a role. The mystery cage thing is playing a role. Played a little role here. So we got a reaction out of Mojo Rawley, and we got a reaction out of this local jobber guy. So, but who knows what is in that cage? And then we had AJ Styles. After that, we had AJ Styles versus Akira Tozawa. This was a short match. Styles ended up taunting, sending a message to Randy Orton in this match, where AJ Styles ended up doing the DDT that Orton does from the second rope to his opponents, and then Styles was taunting, Randy Orton, just doing the setting up for Orton to hit the RKO. Styles did that to Akira Tozawa, and Styles ends up winning the match with the RKO to Tozawa. So there you go. Styles end up winning the match. Post match, Styles end up doing Randy Orton's poses, and Styles end up making his exit to the back. And I don't know if anybody caught this, but it looked like a fan hit the ring. And security and officials were tackling him, and the camera cut away. So I know a lot of people on online articles saying that it was the officiant from the Lana and Bobby Lashley wedding last week. So, but That's what a lot of people were saying as reports were coming out after the show, after the incident took place. But I don't know if any of you caught that after the match was over. But it was a short match, Styles and Tozawa. Very short. Oh, and then we all got ready to pick up our remotes because out came Lana and Bobby Lashley. And possibly everybody who was watching, they picked up their remotes, muted the TV. So Lana and Bobby Lashley came to the ring. And the wedding officiant was there from last week. And then we had Lana says, oh, it's just too bad for those who didn't want them to get married last week. And Lana says they are going to get married right here, right now. And the officiant went on to say and pronounces them man and wife. Both Lana and Bobby Lashley kiss. Lana ends up dismissing the officiant. She isn't happy with how much she paid this officiant, calling him boring. And the officiant is played by an actor, which I saw in a post saying that, oh, this was one of the highlights that he did of his career. It said on the actor's official Facebook page, something like that. Man. So Lana wanted to say about how she's not happy on what should be the happiest day of her life. She ended up saying that she feels extremely, extremely sad. Ends up going on to say that, it's not her fault or Bobby Lashley's fault. It's the fault of everyone who doesn't want to see this ring on her finger. And God almighty, I was like, can this segment be over already? So Lana went on and on about how the people who ruined last week. Bobby Lashley then took the mic, starts taking shots at Rusev. Fans were chanting Rusev Day. And Rusev then appears on the screen. And it looked like he was in front of a green screen because it showed a palm tree, water, and sand. Thinking that, it's a green screen shot of, a beach in the background. And Rusev ended up saying that Lana and Bobby Lashley are the most miserable people in that arena. He ended up saying since they didn't take their honeymoon, he took it for them. And, he says he's on the beach. And it's next to a huge restaurant. So Rusev ended up saying that he forgot to get them a gift. So he put together a wedding album. And the wedding album was shown and was still photos from the wedding from last week where, it was ruined. So after it was over, Rusev ended up smiling. He was taunting Lana and Lashley. So Lashley ended up going on to speak, but Lana ended up interrupting. Screams, which fucking terrible. And she screams about how much she hates Rusev, which, when she was doing that, made my ears bleed. I guess it made you guys' ears bleed also because we can't stand how this woman talks on the microphone. So she ended up saying how much she hates Rusev. Bobby Lashley ended up finally yelling at Lana to shut up. So Bobby Lashley ended up saying that Rusev used to be a man, but his ex-wife stripped him of his manhood. So Bobby Lashley ended up saying to Rusev that if if he has any balls left, he'll show up next week. So Bobby Lashley can rip them off and shove them down his throat. So Rusev ends up yelling out no. He ends up saying that is not going to happen. And Rusev says next week he will be on Monday Night Raw. And he will do unspeakable things to Bobby Lashley, brutalizing his body. And if anything is left, he says it's all going to be Lana's. So that was that. Garbage segment from this garbage ass fucking storyline that nobody gives a shit about, that everybody fucking hates. I did not give a shit what was going on here. So then after that, it was supposed to be Charlotte versus Sarah Logan, but the match didn't end up getting started. Match never fully got underway because Sarah Logan ended up attacking Charlotte. Sarah Logan ended up destroying Charlotte, nails Charlotte with a big knee, and Sarah Logan was controlling Charlotte on the floor. Charlotte ended up getting back up, launched Sarah Logan into the barricade, and it was just a brawl between Charlotte and Sarah Logan. Sorry about that again, but was saying that it was a brawl between Charlotte and Sarah Logan on the outside, on the floor. And Sarah Logan ended up sending Logan back over the barrier, over the barricade. And Sarah Logan ended up sending Charlotte into the ring post. And your referees were trying to get Sarah Logan off of Charlotte. And Sarah Logan ended up coming back into the ring. Sarah Logan ended up grabbing Charlotte's robe off of the mat. She started slamming it around. Fans were booing Sarah Logan. Sarah Logan ended up tossing the robe out of the ring to Charlotte. And Sarah Logan ends up going back to the floor. Charlotte gets up, lays a spear to Sarah Logan on the floor. And then Charlotte ends up working on Sarah Logan, sends her into the barricade again, then into the ring apron. Charlotte ends up laying a fallaway slam into the barrier. Charlotte then started talking trash to Sarah Logan on the outside. And, it was just a brawl between Charlotte and Sarah Logan. Charlotte then laid Sarah Logan with a big boot. And pretty much that was basically that. That was basically what happened. So the match never got underway. We might see this next week. We might see this go down next week. And then we see jobber matches here. This was during the third hour. Jobber matches right here. Drew McIntyre versus No Way Jose. Guess who won the match? If you said Drew McIntyre, you are right. Drew McIntyre wins. Claymore kicked to No Way Jose. Drew McIntyre destroyed some of people on No Way Jose's conga line. And pretty much that was basically that. Drew McIntyre wins. Squash match. Jobber match. Because of No Way Jose. Post-match, you had Drew McIntyre. He ends up tossing No Way Jose over the top rope. No Way Jose ended up taking out his conga line because of that. McIntyre gets on the mic, and he ends up asking the crowd, who wants him to do one more Claymore kick? And the crowd was cheering for him. So McIntyre gets out of the ring. He puts Jose in the ring, lays out another Claymore kick to No Way Jose. And that was that. But there were reports saying that that WWE has plans to turn Drew McIntyre into a babyface, which, from the looks of it, could see this happening. Drew McIntyre, from what I heard, in the Indies, he was a babyface there, and it was proven successful. Even his run in NXT, you all remember his run in NXT, he was a babyface. That proved successful. He was the NXT champion. So he was successful as a NXT champion. So, but from the looks of it, they're going to be turning Drew McIntyre into a babyface. But Drew McIntyre, No Way Jose squash match. Then we had Aleister Black taking on Shelton Benjamin. I forgot that Shelton Benjamin was still employed with WWE. That's how long he hasn't been on TV. He's just been in catering. So Aleister Black versus Shelton Benjamin. Another jobber match, squash match, because of Shelton Benjamin. Aleister Black got the win. Black mass to Shelton Benjamin. That was that. Aleister Black wins. Post-match, Buddy Murphy ended up coming in. He ended up attacking Aleister Black. Buddy Murphy then unloads, takes Aleister Black to the floor. He launched Aleister Black into the ring apron, and also the barricade. Buddy Murphy ended up sending Aleister Black into the timekeepers area. End up still attacking Aleister Black. Buddy Murphy then ended up charging in with a running knee to Aleister Black's jaw. Fans were chanting one more time. And the referee ends up warning Buddy Murphy as Buddy Murphy ended up retrieving a steel chair from under the ring. Stalks Aleister Black with it. Buddy Murphy ended up taunting Aleister Black, talks some trash. And he puts Aleister's face into the chair to knock him back. So Buddy Murphy ends up taking a seat on top of the barricade like Aleister Black would do. And he's looking down at Aleister Black. And officials were checking on Aleister. Pretty much that was basically that. But, 3 weeks already we've seen Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black. But that was that. Then we had the main event. Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and the mystery partner versus AOP and Seth Rollins. 6-man tag. AOP first came out. Akame Razor, and then Seth Rollins came out. They made their way to the ring. Seth Rollins ended up getting on the mic. He was going on to say about how the fans have forced him into being the chosen one. And the fans started giving him the what chance, the what treatment. Seth Rollins ended up calling out Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens and the mystery opponent. So he calls them out to meet their fate at the hands of AOP, and Seth Rollins calls himself the Monday Night Messiah. So then out came Kevin Owens, out came Samoa Joe, and they stand together. Both Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe stand together. And the mystery opponent is revealed. And the mystery opponent was none other than, I kid you not, I kid you guys, not. The mystery opponent with Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe was The Big Show. Yeah, you all know The Big Show. Yeah, that Big Show. Why? It's 2020 and The Big Show is on TV. I thought he retired. Like, really? And everybody I saw online saying, "Oh, it may be Edge. It may be Edge." No, it wasn't. I don't know what you all were thinking it being Edge. I'm like, is WWE trolling us and bringing The Big Show in? Yeah, with Big Show back, we're going to see the 1 millionth heel turn for The Big Show. God. But I'm like, why is The Big Show back? Why? So the match itself, it was, my opinion, it was meh main event. Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and The Big Show end up winning by DQ, by disqualification. Seth Rollins ended up coming in, had a chair in his hand, ended up hitting The Big Show. And post-match, AOP ended up pounding down on The Big Show. Seth Rollins with the chair, had a chair, but officials end up stopping Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins ended up going to prepare for the curb stomp on The Big Show. Samoa Joe ended up stopping Seth Rollins from the floor. Seth Rollins turned back around, and The Big Show ends up delivering a KO punch to Seth Rollins. AOP ended up pulling Seth Rollins from the ring. Ended up dragging Seth Rollins up the ramp. And pretty much that was basically what happened. Big Show and Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe ended up standing tall as Monday Night Raw went off the air. But very meh 6-man tag. Why is The Big Show back? Like I said, it's 2020 and The Big Show is on TV. Why? But anyways, that was Monday Night Raw tonight. Okay show. First 2 hours were decent. Then the third hour, just Jobber City that we saw, with Drew McIntyre and No Way Jose, Aleister Black and Shelton Benjamin. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And the next video that I will do is my most anticipated films for this year that I'm looking forward to. So thank you all for watching. And until the next video, I'll see you all later.